How long does it last? Can love be measured by the hours in a day? I found a love that I couldn't ignore. Seems like a year since you've been out of my sight.
Yeah, I was just reading about this, actually. Andy, tell me how you started collecting.
I was working with Kay Thompson and my brothers. Kay Thompson and the Williams brothers had an act. It was quite a famous act in the late 40s and the early 50s. And we played all of the great supper clubs. And when we were in New York at the Plaza Hotel, and she was writing Eloise, she tried to get all of us interested in paintings and literature. And to get us interested in the French Impressionists, she wrote a little song for us that we all learned. And it goes, Toulouse-Lautrec, Renoir, Bonnard, Manny, Monet, and Degas, Van Gogh, Goya, Gauguin, Cézanne, Matisse, America Sate aussi, Georges Seurat aussi, Toulouse-Lautrec, Renoir, Bonnard, Manny, Monet, and Degas, Van Gogh, Goya, Gauguin, Cézanne, Matisse. So I used to walk up and down 57th Street and a little bit into Madison Avenue and go in every art gallery and begin to tell the difference between a Picasso and a Braque and a Juan Gris. And then I got very interested in art. And I was making $280 a week on the Steve Allen Tonight Show. So I immediately got a little apartment, you know, for $130. And I went into Nerdler Art Gallery on 57th Street. I got Picasso and Braque and Juan Gris lithographs. And then I went out to junkyards and I'd find the frames. And then when I started to make a little bit of money, I started buying prints and then gradually got into paintings.
And then I discovered you, and in your eyes
My office was in Los Angeles on La Cienega Boulevard, next door to Nicholas Weiler Gallery. And so I used to go in there and look at his stuff, and he got me interested in the 50s color field painters. And so we went to New York, and by then I was making some money. And we started buying things from Andre Emmerich, Helen Frankenthaler, Morris Lewis, the Noland. And I really fell in love with the color field because I just like color.
I'm going your way to drifters off to see the world.
I was friendly with Bobby Kennedy and Ethel Kennedy and the whole family. I was a delegate from California for Bobby Kennedy. And when he asked me if I would be a delegate from California, I said, yeah, I'd love to. And about 2 weeks later, I called him back and I said, I hope I haven't messed this up, but I'm a Republican. And he started to laugh. He said, it really doesn't matter if you want to do it for me. Go down and register as a Democrat, and then when I get in, you can turn back to a Republican if you want to, which is pretty much what I did. And so coming back from the convention, I saw this wonderful painting in the window, brilliant reds and greens and stuff, and I just loved it, and I didn't know anything about it. And I stopped him with Richard Graygower. I said, is that a good painter? He said, oh, he's a great painter. I said, what's his name? He said, Hans Hofmann. And I said, I'll buy it. I bought it.
How long does it last? Can love be measured by the hours in a day?
Andy, we've been working for over 10 years. The last paintings that you bought with us were, for example, the beautiful Ruscha painting.
Yeah, I like him very much. He came to our house when we had a house down in Malibu, my first wife, Claudine. And he came down with a musician friend of ours. And he was just starting, he was just doing his thing. And he gave us a lithograph, I guess, of the Hollywood sign that he had done, which became very famous later on. So I was interested in from then. That was in the 60s.
You bought the Kooning painting.
It's in my theater, dressing room there.
There were 3 versions of this, and 2 are in museums. And I remember sending it to you.
Yes, I loved it. Well, you knew I would like it because I loved de Kooning anyway. Then we have another de Kooning down here, which is a much later period. I think he started painting these in the early 80s, and I think it's marked number 17 in the series. But I like this one as well as anything I'd ever seen that he had done in that period of time. I told you I liked color, didn't I?
You very much did, yes.
I've watched these pictures for a long time, and I bought one from Gagosian, and then I sold it back to him because I saw this one, and I liked it better because this one has yellow in it, and the other one was just mostly blue.
When whippoorwills call and evening is nigh, I hurry to my blue heaven. Just going along as I please, a breezing along with a breeze that'll.
Andy, when I see episodes of you in the Andy Williams show, this famous sweater always reminds me of the Noland paintings.
Oh, yeah. I always wore for years on television every week a sweater. And they were the V-shaped kind of sweaters with very wide stripes. Then I noticed that he was painting, you know, paintings which are that same kind of chevron. And I loved a picture of his called Blue Nile. And I said, how much is the picture? He said, I love your Rolls Royce. He said, I'll trade you the Rolls Royce for the picture. So I said, okay. Well, that's how I got that. It was wide, you know, it was about 12 feet wide and 5 foot high. And I have it in my theater over the box office.
Through a meadowland toward a closing door, a door marked.
I mean, I had an awful lot of large paintings that I bought from Nick Wilder in the early 60s, you know. And I have those in my theater all over all the walls. But I didn't want my theater to look like every other theater there, so I wanted it to look different, and it does.
Your dressing room is filled with paintings.
Mm-hmm. One of the things when you have your own theater is you get the best dressing room, and you get the best lighting, best sound, and the best band. So I made this whole place kind of big. That's the Clifford Still, I guess it's supposed to be marked number 1. It was painted in 1950. And that's the blue surround, it was by Diebenkorn. It's an aqua tint. Got that at Christie's. Well, let's see, the rest of the things, there's a Helen Frankenthaler over here, which is one of the first ones that I bought on that first trip to New York.
Silver bells, Christmas present at the start.
And we've got great examples of Diebenkorn here. We've got the Ocean Park and the Berkeley picture.
Right. Now, this was painted in 1977. I know that because we bought a farm up in Healdsburg, California, and we sold it in the 70s to Richard Diebenkorn. And he moved into there, and he made the barn his gallery. And so he painted this picture while he was living in the farm that I owned right before it. This one over here was done in 1955. It was an earlier painting. It's the Berkeley series. This is what I call the Christie's room, because almost everything was bought at Christie's. This is my favorite little Picasso oil. It was done in 1927, and I know that because that was the year I was born. And it's of the Bone period, which lasted only a few years, but I think some of his best stuff was in that Bone period.
Apart from the paintings of the Kooning, you also collected the sculptures.
Yeah, I've always liked his sculpture. I got 3 or 4 or 5 of his.
You very much live with your art, Andy, here in Branson, but also in La Quinta.
Which is really part of Palm Springs. It's just Palm Springs is spread out so much.
Okay.
I built a house there in 1965, small little house. And used to go down there just for the Bob Hope golf tournament. But it's nice big rooms and spacious, and it's perfect for Debbie and me and our 3 dogs.
The great Noland target.
The great Noland target is down there, and the Robert Motherwell now is down there. The Basquiat is there. There's a wonderful Sam Francis oil, large one that I love.
You seem to be very sensitive about living with the paintings. You very much enjoy
Oh, I love that. I don't want to have them in storage. I want to live with them. You know, and I really love all of them.